It is the tale as old as time. Rules for thee and not for me. And we're going to explore this today in the trifecta of politics, celebrity culture, and cancel culture. And in this little tale we're talking about, guess what? Time's up, bitch. Deemed the Celebrity Whisperer by Playboy.
This is the best interview of the day.
Thanks for having me.
You hit the nail on the head.
100%.
Period, yeah.
Touch them. They're cracking me up.
Wear them, baby. She's good.
Taylor Ferber. Okay, so you guessed it. I don't know what story could have tipped me off to this theme today, but we're going to be talking all about the idea of privilege and how those in power time and time again seem to have a different set of rules for them than for us, peasant, common man. And it ends now. We're done. We're over it. And you know what? At least pretty privilege is something to write home about, but this is just a bunch of fuckery. So we are starting today with the story of all stories that sums this up in a nice little Santa bow with coal in your stocking. That is Joe Biden, who emerged from his state of dementia to what have you, but pardon his son, Hunter Biden, from every crime under the sun. From now, in his past lives, in his future lives, in parallel dimensions, he's good to go. He's scrubbed clean. It's all good, okay? And this story has fuckery, and you've heard about it because everybody's talking about it. Even Dave Portnoy went on and did a flaw-free rant about it. So this isn't to just regurgitate what you already know, but I'm just going to sum up the basics, okay? So this is fuckery on many levels. The first one, since we're doing a little bit of a Christmas bell, Christmas bells, cheer or not theme today, you sadly in this shot cannot see my Christmas bells, but they are cheering for you because listen, the show goes on and I am here in a mystical location, hopefully in Hunter Biden's past or future life, because you can just get away with murder there, because I want to deliver this to you. So you're going to get this, glory, oh, holy night to your ears, but maybe not your eyes because, like I said, the bells are a little covered up, but that's okay. Use your imagination. So this, like I said, is fucked on many levels. One, because with the Christmas theme, this guy, Joe Biden, and his little cronies may as well have been the nutcracker with no, lying, 5 ways from Sunday, every single time they were asked if he was going to pardon Hunter Biden.
But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
Would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear and I said no.
And we are talking everything from don't even get me started, okay, on the laptop story that was literally unearthed. The diamond in the Titanic, but then buried again. That was a whole thing, right? But everything from tax fraud to illegal gun purchase, it's a whole thing, okay? So it was all of the lying over and over and over. And it's okay, dude, again, what don't you get that we are sick and tired of being lied to? Okay. But the people, power to the people, that may as well be what this episode is about. And the people have spoken. Okay. But the sheer and utter hypocrisy in this entire situation. And again, even Dave Portnoy said, okay, it goes without saying, if you have a family member, a loved one, a son, and you're going to do, of course you're going to,
This is why you got obliterated in the election, because you guys are all liars. You sit on a house of lies, a throne of lies. You're no morally better than anybody else. Stop pretending it. We see through you, and time again, your true colors come forward. So stop pretending that you're this moral, righteous authority and you're so true and virtuous. And this is just the latest in a long line with Hunter Biden. Yeah, I would pardon my son too if I had one, if I could save his too. I just wouldn't lie about it like you guys lie about it. By the way, everybody knew the lie was coming.
Corruption, as we obviously have no shame. There's no shame in our game. There was no shame in the Roman Empire game, which we're going to get to, and there's no shame in this game, bitch, but at least be forthright about it. But nay, the fact of the matter that Biden is now crying what Trump has been rightfully saying for all these years, but now this guy is pulling like an Uno reverse card, Twister remix of his time on himself, right? And saying that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, and, you know, the justice system is politicized and weaponized against him. In that, you know, up in this last election, hence the Hunter Biden laptop story, that conservatives went really hard, like went big or went home, in finding shit and digging up shit against the Biden family. Okay. Couple things here. Number one is that, again, need I remind you, like, unlike you, the rest of us don't have amnesia, okay? So we remember when Trump has said this very thing time and time again, because let's be real, Trump has been, okay, accused, arrested, tried all the shit from literally from the shores of Mar-a-Lago in Florida to Georgia, New York, everything from classified documents, falsifying records, the election overturning, okay? And we all know all of these were literally reaches, okay? That not even like Sasquatch could get near. We all knew these were reaches. But what happened the entire time? All we heard all the livelong day was nobody's above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
I could literally make a song and dance right now. Nobody's above the law. They have to be held. He has to be held accountable. Meanwhile, all this shit with the Biden and his family and all of Hunter Biden and his crack pipes galore just swept under the rug, right? So now the fact that Biden is using the same excuse that they have actually done this, right, against Trump. We've seen it for years and years, which is why people are onto the bullshit, hence the sweep. The sweep. Like, I'm not even talking Cinderella. You know the sweep. You know the one, okay? So this has been a thing, right? But the fact that now, and then it was no, it has to be the law. Nobody's above the law. Has to be able to come. But now it's okay to use it against yourself. So that's number one of the clownery here. But number two is that it's your administration. It's your Department of Justice. So the fact that he's like, you know, it is just politicized and it is weaponized. You know, it wasn't against Trump that whole time, even though that's what everyone knew, but it is now against me, even though it is my own administration. Clown car, clown show, circus, okay? Which is why it is all just a complete and utter joke. I have to say, like, I honestly do, as much as I loathe this entire situation and the fact that Biden, who was like half of a brain, like literally may as well have been like a chia pet, okay, was pushed as like the savior, as was Kamala Harris. I have to say, this guy is the gift that keeps on giving, because like, whether it's him putting on a MAGA hat, whether it's him sabotaging Kamala in the 11th hour or this shit, like, the Democrats are so imploded on themselves that there's no coming back. And there's a part of me, I can't lie, hot take, that low-key loved Joe Biden for this, because it is already blown to smithereens. So this guy's probably like, well, what? Like, the barn already exploded, so what's one more, like, moving the hay from here to here? It's like, it already is so far gone, and there are no fucks to give. And honestly,
I don't want to work. I just want to bang on this mug all day.
Did you ask me here for any specific reason?
let's just give him a round of applause for that, right? Like, literally just no wherewithal to be had and just past the point of absolutely no return. So the thing is, you guys, is that this ain't nothing new. This has been a thing, right? Everybody from Clinton, who in the 11th hour of his presidency had some controversial pardons in 2001, including his half brother, which again, why then? Same thing with the Biden situation. Rules for thee, not for me. How people in power and those in their orbit get away with things and get off, like not in a great way, except if it's like a Monica Lewinsky moment, in the way that the average common man like would be persecuted, punished, et cetera, right? So again, like the priv is priving, you know what I mean? And even Gerald Ford, who pardoned Nixon in the 70s, which was really controversial, right? After Nixon's obvious like abuse of power and Watergate and all that. But this is what also stands the test of time, is like all of this fuckery, but the fact that we don't like it. We don't like the fact that the seniors in high school get to leave during 7th period and go get McDonald's and go eat in the cool courtyard while we, as freshmen, are stuck to watch them with our braces, like getting the disgusting cafeteria food out of our teeth, you know, in the confines of the prison. That is the cafeteria. And it's like, why can they, but we can't? We don't like it. Hence why Gerald Ford basically lost major ground in popularity and lost re-election. So that's out on that. But I think that we are getting to a point where the people are going to be saying, no, Mom, like we've had enough. So the other thing that's happening right now in this vein with politics is, I hope, and what we're kind of seeing is the beginning of the dismantling of the FBI, okay? Because the FBI are not your friends. Like, they are up to some shady shit, Slim Shady. And again, like, we are on to them, okay? So do you guys remember? So I had Matt Taibbi on my show, who's an iconic independent journalist, used to be a political White House correspondent for Rolling Stone, is now independent. And he was one of the top journalists in cahoots with Elon Musk to expose the Twitter files. So when I had him on my show, and as a journalist, fucking loser geek, I was like starstruck in my tracks, but I digress. He revealed how they discovered in the Twitter files that the FBI was in cahoots with Twitter at the time. This is before Elon came over and like rode that train, like the fucking Polar Express glory that we had never seen coming, right? How the FBI was in cahoots with Twitter when it came to information flow. And that's concerning, right? I think so. Anybody raise your hand? Yes, exactly. Concerning. Okay, like, what is your business of what information we do and don't get? Like, shady, corrupt, okay, weaponized, politicized. Like, let's just do all the rhyming today. And so now Trump is bringing in a new director of the FBI, Kash Patel. No, I don't think it's a diversity. I don't think it's a DEI hire. I don't think it's a quota, but you know what? If it is, like, all power to them. Again, like, no fucks getting given. No, I'm just kidding. But this guy was a federal prosecutor for the DOJ, and he actually served in the DOJ in the National Security Division during the Obama administration. But what have you now? Okay, you have the mainstream media, and this guy's like all for what Trump is promising, which is to expose the hoes, transparency, expose the lies. Like, if I don't get JFK assassination answers during this presidency, Trump will have hell to pay from a 5'1" blonde, okay? But all these things that they promised, because we saw this bullshit.
Whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Even in the ambush and the persecution of Trump, right? Which was such a double standard and so biased, because again, there were things going on with Hunter Biden at the same time. But with Trump, it's like the FBI raids Mar-a-Lago, ambushes his life, like is in Melania Trump's underwear drawer. Meanwhile, with the Bidens, it's like, let me give you like a nice like I'm going to pass it out in your locker. And like, will you go to prom with me? AKA, like, we may look into your stuff at some point. Like, complete double standard, right? And so this is the kind of shit that they're looking to end, expose what Biden says in his own administration, but the politicization and weaponization of said organizations, okay? But what's so sad yet entertaining about this entire thing is how the mainstream media's brains are breaking and melting down because they're like, okay, Trump just brought this guy, despite his qualifications, Trump just brought this guy in to run his revenge tour on all these people he think did him wrong. Like, this isn't a Khloe Kardashian ass comeback tour against an ex, okay? That's what they're acting like. They're just trying to, like, meanwhile, this guy and others on his behalf are like, listen, it's pretty simple. Like, did you or did you not obey the law? Like, it's not that hard. It ain't that complicated. Like, it's not that deep.
Just the tip.
Did you or did you not? So if you didn't, you should have nothing to be worried about, right? And so that is what is so crazy about this entire thing, because again, while, you know, relishing in like 3D glasses and popcorn over this, watching Trump get persecuted, now it's like, oh, wait, the tables are being turned. And now they're like, oh, it's a revenge tour. Oh, wait, what if he's like partisan in his attempts? And it's like, wow. It's called the pot. It's called the kettle. It's calling it black. Okay. Again, if that's racist, that's on you, babe. You're looking a little too much into that. Okay. So again, when it comes to all of this, how there has obviously been such a discrepancy in what's, quote, enforced and no one being, quote, above the law with those who have the power shield above them and don't. And further, how I almost feel, maybe I'm hopeful. Maybe I'm a hopeful blonde, you know, as a nice counterpart to my existential blonde. Questionably realist at times. But are people more onto it and more pissed than ever? So where we also see this, obviously, is in Tinseltown, celebrity world, and might I call it the Hollywood Hall Pass, right? Where these fuckers are granted so many privileges and advantages. Where do we even begin? And it's kind of sad, but it's how it's just across the spectrum. You know, like Elon on the spectrum and all of his ways. It's like across the spectrum. Everything from, you have, you know, Lindsay Lohan, right, who's become a punchline, but at the time who would violate probations and would get little slap on the wrist that, again, the common man, average Joe, would not. Like, certainly, probably, you know, who would get fucked the most by this is the employees at Trader Joe's, because they're so goddamn nice. They have gullible and innocent written over that, all over them, like they're getting fucked. But getting away with things that the average person would get such harsher penalties. So even if she broke probation or this, like, again, little slap on the wrist, minimal time, minimal fines, all that, all the way to things like tax evasion. People like, okay, like, we know the Martha story. And even in researching for this, like, she has her new documentary, like, Martha is just, she is like a cockroach who just keeps coming back and back and back in the home style Betty Crocker reinvented 2.0 legend that doesn't die. But even arguably, she got away with things. I think it was like a home that she had written on, she had not, and something she had a home in the Hamptons and was passing it off as her full-time home, but it wasn't. Anyway, basically, Martha, even though she paid her dues in other ways, like, this was one where anybody else, like, maybe not Martha, but maybe like Marlene in the Hamptons, you know what I mean? Like, she would have gotten royally fucked. But people like Nicolas Cage, even like your favorite stoner Willie Nelson, like all of these people who, you know, had avoided, you know, upwards of millions of dollars in taxes, and, you know, they had their tax tooth fairy come in the celebrity world, like, descend out of the greater Los Angeles County area and grant them lesser punishments, fines, what have you, right? But even the idea of how fame shields and gives these people almost like a public community sympathy, things like, okay, the college admissions scandal, like, could you imagine if Rhonda in your cul-de-sac pulled this shit versus like the Felicity Huffmans, the Lori Loughlin's, you know what I mean? And it's almost like, oh, but I love them in Desperate Housewives and Fuller House, this, like, was it fucked up? But let me tell you something, Rhonda, not so lucky, not so much. It's like we sort of like brush it under the rug. We love them on screen. So we have this like ever-flowing empathy, it seems, right? Even more recently, guys, let's not forget. Okay, let's not forget. I know it's hard to place them because there's like 17 billion of them now, the way they're procreating. But Alec Baldwin in the Rust shooting scandal, how he really, like, at first it was so shocking. So he was a little bit villainized, but then not so much, into where the narrative, like, as it went on, like we saw Eladia, who like dwells from Spain as she thinks, and Alec, and these photos of them just like, they have like a reality show now. I mean, like, what? Like the photos of them like weeping and crying. It's almost where the narrative has turned to where the court of, you know, public decision has an opinion, has decided that poor Alec like needs to get a break. And now like somehow it's to be sympathized with here. And that's just, there's no biz like showbiz, okay? What can I tell you? Because let me say, you know, good old Alec, like he had it going on in the day, but this is not a case of pretty privilege. Like this is not a Brad Pitt situation. If this is Brad Pitt, we have another set of rules here, people. But Alec in this current state, like no offense, not so much. So this is all due to celebrity privilege. And again, the Hollywood Hall pass. Like somebody call Owen Wilson in that movie. Wow. Because Hollywood has officially snatched that pass. Okay. Lastly here is the crises we've seen time and time again of, you guessed it, cancel culture. And all three of these, from politics to celebrity to cancel culture, all fit in to my nice little Mrs. Claus package of where this is all going, right? And how they all kind of coalesce together into what I think is going to happen. So you have cancel culture and the selective nature of it all, right? Again, kind of in the spectrum, like in the last little journey we went on, you have everything from like Mean Girls being Regina George and bullying, right? So I would argue, you know, you have Chrissy Teigen, who I think has bounced back from that, to which I saw, as you guys know, listen to my show In the Land Before Its Time. When I called her out, she came after me and basically tried to get me fired, called her out for bullying publicly. It was a whole national news story. And I was like, but what? Like, where is the lie? Like, do I tell a lie? Like, me and my Christmas snow globes here do not lie. And so what have you, cut to a couple years later, where her bullying scandal comes to light. She's telling average people, bots, probably Neanderthals, to somewhat people of a high profile, notable status, to like kill themselves, just nasty, vile things. I was like, I told you so. I told you it's in USA Today. I'm not better. You can go see it. It's like, I told you so, bitch. You guys don't overlook. I know you can like physically maybe. Don't overlook a 5'1" blonde for the prophecy, right? But I would argue, and like that was some nasty shit that came to light, but I would argue she and her husband, John Legend, like they're sort of one entity, and this guy's doing like Pfizer commercials. He's like spinning on his head in his piano and ads every other day, like endorsing this, that, the other thing. I don't even know, right? But then you have Ellen DeGeneres, who I would argue was kind of exiled from Hollywood, and now she's like fled over like some moron with her lesbian wife to the UK because it's going to be so oppressive and totalitarian here over Trump. But yeah, the UK, where they're arresting people for praying and for tweets, is much safer, the brains. But I would argue she never really bounced back, right? From that whole thing that came to light of how much of a nasty gal she was. And I'm not talking about like the nasty gal, open me package bit segment that your favorite influencer is doing today. Like, I'm talking nasty gal. I don't know if she ever bounced back from that.
Girl, nasty up in a nasty girl, nasty up in a nasty girl, nasty.
What attributes to that? Is that where they're at in their career? Is that the severity of it? Is it just how beloved they are? Is it their fan base? Like, we may never know. Like, hashtag the science, follow the science. But with this, like, this is the Wuhan lab of confusion and conspiracy. Like, we may never get answers. You also have the severity of things like Me Too, right? And you have people who have completely bounced back. People like Chris Brown, people like Ezra Miller, right? Who is accused of things like actual physical abuse, mental grooming, things like that. And some would even argue Trump, right? Who's had allegations against him and, the whole Stormy Daniels thing and all that, and is now like taking over like a bowl in a China shop. But like, thank God we're not in fucking China, because like, holy shit, you want to talk about all this? Let's talk about it. We're going to get to that. Okay. So that's an example. But then you have people, again, who I would argue who haven't come back. You have people like Matt Lauer. You have people like, I would even say Louis C.K. or the big kahuna, Kevin Spacey. So the selective, I think, like frenetic whack-a-mole nature of that is what has made us completely, again, over the, not only like rules for thee, but not for me, but the whole nature of cancel culture, which is like, we know best, this is right and wrong, when it was so fucking random anyways. Like, you had better luck getting one of those claw stuffed animal toys out of an arcade than guessing who the fuck would get canceled today and why. Like, no rhyme or reason, right? So in sum, we have the ongoing double standard in rules and accountability. We even saw this with COVID. We saw it with the mayor of Chicago. We saw it with Gavin Newsom. These fucking assholes living like, pardon my priv, pardon my French. But you saw these people having us live literally under their thumbs like slaves, like not even able to leave our house, not even able to like what is this, Scientology? We can't even peek out the window today. And these a-holes are dining like kings and queens, and we're all suffering, losing our businesses, our livelihoods, our minds, right? So that complete fuckery. But the fact that we've seen this, we've seen it in fiction, what could actually come to play and come to life of this and come to fruition. We've seen it in fiction, like, which actually is not fiction, but 1984. If you haven't read it, like, brush up, go talk to a hot librarian, like two birds, you know what I mean? Girls, maybe it'll be a hot librarian guy, like the hot nanny, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Friends, like it's your lucky day. Or real life, okay, where we've seen this. Communism, communism isn't cute. Like, we love an alliteration moment of truth. But the Soviet Union, currently, what's going on in North Korea? Okay, you have monarchies through time. You have even back to the Roman Empire. Again, where you have these people empowered, these kings, these queens, these leaders, dictators, what have you, having and carrying out a completely, like, literally off with their head, like, this is Wonderland, we are Alice, and like literally getting fucked, right? And completely just no holds bar, annihilate whoever, whenever, whatever they want, or having people live in poverty, eating scraps, whatever, and they are out here in exorbitant, delicacy, like, this shit exists, okay? And if we don't get our act right, could be us, just call me Mandy Moore because this is us, or it could be, okay? But what I really feel in my being is the fact that I think, like a fundamental and primal kind of aversion as humans is being lied to. And we're seeing this happen here. Like, need I bring it back all the way to the Hunter Biden pardoning disaster, right? Our fundamental need, it could be a breakup, it could be a cheating, it could be anything you want, but we do not like being lied to. So, where does all of this take us? I would say, hopefully, maybe you guys, it is like, maybe this is prophecy number, I don't know, 2,372 from Talk to Me Taylor, but who is counting? Okay. Not to toot my own horn, but maybe it is the beginning of the end of this entire woke, righteous, morality police, politically correct, compliance empire. Not only are we so sick of being told what is right, a la, again, the selective canceling, right? Or the selective people who get away with things, like what is right, the hypocrisy, the double standards. But everybody, we're sick of also being told what is true. And we're seeing it happen. It could be anything from the science to history to facts to narratives. Because guess what? We see it blown up time and time again. And maybe this is really the beginning of the end. We're tired of being told what is, quote, right and what is, quote, true. Because y'all are full of shit anyways. And it's all phony baloney as far as I'm concerned. So aside from our beloved, pizza, our beloved wine, I would venture to say that this may be the beginning of a new Roman Empire that has fallen. And say, warn ya.